Yo, what's up, YouTube and all the fan followers out there? Welcome to another episode of Knowledge with Nutty. I'm your host, the Nutty Squirrel, and today what I'm going to be talking about is some leadership qualities. Qualities that every leader in my past, present, and probably future will have or should have. Now, the other day I was analyzing my history, my past, and thinking about all the great leaders that were in my life, people that I looked up to, people that I followed, people that led me around and helped me continue with my life. And some of the things that I did find is that, one, you don't ever ask anyone to do something that you wouldn't do or haven't done yourself. For instance, don't ask someone to run a class if you haven't ran the class yourself and tried it out. Don't ask somebody to buy something if you haven't bought it yourself or you wouldn't help pitch in to pay for the item. 2, you must be respectful at all times. Lying, being a jerk, or cheating are all ways to encourage disrespect and fail as a leader. Instead, be honest and respect all people. Play fair and work hard. And when I say all people, I mean all people. People talking trash to you, respect them. You can diss them and still respect them at the same time. 3, communicate clearly and listen more than you talk. You can't be a good leader if you don't know what those that are following you want. The best ideas come from those that are your teammates. Those that talk to you and say, you know, can we try this, can we try this? Listen to them. Let them try things. I mean, if you're not willing to try things, it's not going to happen. 4, you got to be able to admit when you're wrong. You may think that you know everything, but trust me, you don't. Even the best leaders make mistakes, and don't feel that you will lose all respect if you admit that you're wrong. More than likely, admitting you're wrong and apologizing will get a lot more people to respect you and look up to you, because a lot of people understand that everybody makes mistakes. Always put the group before yourself. And I don't mean like in life and in general. But if you're selfish and not flexible with your decisions, then you're running a dictatorship, and you know who's going to be the D. So always be flexible and always think of your team as a group, as a unit. You must also be able to maintain self-control during stressful situations. If every time a problem arises, you lose your cool and you start chewing out everyone left and right, nobody's going to want to be around you. When you're playing matches or you're playing a game battle and something happens and you're the leader, you're the person that everybody's going to look to resolve the situation. If you're screaming at the other team or shutting off your mic or acting real childish, it's not going to help, and you're only going to add fuel to the fire. You also must have dedication and the ability to follow through and be held accountable for the statements that you make. If you're not able to follow through on statements, then nobody's going to be able to trust you. Nobody's going to want to follow you, and nobody's going to be able to count on you to do anything. Anything you say as a leader holds more weight than if you're just a follower of an organization. If you're a co-leader, it has just the amount of weight as the leader. And to take that position lightly doesn't work, and nobody's going to want to follow you. As a leader, you must possess dedication and a strong will to succeed. There will be times you may feel like giving up, but trust me, if you give up, it's over. I've been the leader of a clan for over 2 years, and there's been times when I felt that I was going to be the only one left. But I kept pushing, kept going, and we still have a team going. There will be times that it's going to get overwhelming and it's going to get frustrating, and you're just going to throw your hands up and say, I can't do it. But you got to remember, think of your team before yourself. If your team wants people to play with, or your team needs people to play with to continue, then that's what you got to do. You got to make sure that you're there for your team. You must be able to follow well. This is one of the big things. If you can't follow, you can't lead. You got to know how to follow, so that way you can help others who want to follow you follow better. So you know what followers are feeling, what followers are looking for, what followers need. You know, if you are just trying to lead, then you're not going to follow anything, and nobody's going to want to follow you. And finally, the last thing that I want to stress about being a leader is that you have to have enthusiasm for what you're doing. You can't go into something half-heartedly and expect it to take off and shoot for the stars and become a big, huge event. You've got to take your time, and you've got to have enthusiasm for it and be excited about it when you do it. You've got to also be able to have strategic planning. And when I say strategic planning, it's kind of like a chess game. If you're trying to run an organization, you need to make sure you're able to stay 4 or 5 steps ahead of what's actually happening. So therefore, if something goes wrong, you got a plan A, you got a plan B, you got a plan C. I mean, you'll have all these different plans because you know where you're trying to get and what could possibly happen. The same way playing a game. If you run around a corner, usually you're thinking, okay, if a guy is here, I'm going to turn this way. I'm going to check this corner first, I'm going to check that corner first. You're strategically planning your operation. I mean, it's no different than a game, but you got to be able to do it with a group of people that want to follow you, with a group of people that can trust you. And if you don't have enthusiasm, then nobody's going to want to play with you, nobody's going to be excited for doing what you're doing. I mean, I could talk about leadership the whole time, but basically what I'm trying to say is that you got to put your teammates before yourself. You got to know your teammates, know the people that you're playing with, or know the organization that you're a leader of. This doesn't just pertain to teams. This can pertain to your work environment. If you want to be a manager, you got to know your other employees. You got to be able to talk to them on a professional manner and on a personal manner. And you got to know their personal lives. You got to know what they want. Because if you're able to help them out, they're going to want to come back and ask you for more help than just going and trying to find somewhere else. And that's what a leader is somebody who basically can get a whole group together to accomplish a set goal. So I hope that I've summed up what a leader does, and this goes for a co-leader too. I mean, if a co-leader doesn't follow these instructions, then they're not going to have anybody to follow either. So just make sure that you treat your team as yourself. So I hope you all enjoyed it, and like, subscribe, and tell your friends. I'm out.